Okay, so the big news is that Hemant Mehta on Friendly Atheist is hosting a contest to win my book. So if you go to friendlyatheist.com, you can enter to win a copy of my book. Just answer a question about what advice do you wish you had been given when you came out as an atheist, when you realized you were an atheist. What would have been really helpful to you? Now, the reason I'm doing a vlog on this is not just to let you know about the contest, which is cool, but because the excerpt of my book that he ran was about sex. And there's a lot of people with a lot of issues, a lot of comments, and most of them positive. I mean, most people are entering the contest and want a copy of the book. I view that as positive. And a lot of people think that what I wrote in that is fine. But there's some people who seem to think that saying that there's consequences to sex is somehow being negative about sex. And all I can say to that is that if you're trying to convince yourself that there aren't consequences to sex, or that those consequences aren't that big of a deal, I do think you're deluding yourself. Like the guy, and honestly, when I read these things, I'm thinking, well, that's a guy I'd never have sex with. Trying to justify it and trying to get other people to agree that casual sex is great. It's not great for everybody. Some people are not into casual sex. Some people are. But to say that it's okay for everybody is wrong. Some people can't handle it. And that's the point. Know what you're getting into and be responsible to yourself and to the other people you're with before deciding whether to have sex with anybody. That's the entire point of my chapter. Now, the guy who thinks there are no consequences to sex because even if the girl gets pregnant, she can have an abortion and that's no big deal, is an idiot. Like an insensitive idiot. Like as if abortion is no big deal. It's very hard on a woman's body. You know, even if there were no emotional consequences to it, it's very hard on a woman's body to be pregnant and have an abortion or a miscarriage. It's extremely hard. So, yeah, that one was an idiot. You know, my entire message is, you know, there are consequences to your actions. And this goes for every aspect of your life. And that's what my book is about. Think before you act, because there's consequences in every aspect of your life, sex included. If you're prepared for those consequences and you're willing to take on those risks, more power to you. If you're not, then you should think before you act, because there are potential consequences. For people who read a statement like that and think it's judgmental towards them in some way, you know, they're projecting. They're projecting. That's pretty much it. They are projecting. There's something about their choices that they're not entirely sure of, because if you are confident in your choices, then you don't have regrets. There's nothing anybody could say that would upset you. And someone saying that there's consequences shouldn't upset you. The people that are going on about there aren't consequences, or that the consequences aren't that big of a deal, you know, I think they're rationalizing their own behavior more than really responding to what's in the book. And that's understandable. I mean, if you're not being totally responsible to yourself and to the people you're with through casual sex or whatever it is you're doing, then I have no idea what these people are involved with, so I don't know. You know, I mean, it could be nothing. But if you're not being totally responsible, then someone pointing out that you're not being totally responsible, as you should be, it would be insulting. I mean, I can totally get that. I can totally understand why someone would respond to a message that if you're not taking care of the consequences or preparing for the consequences, then you're not being wholly responsible to yourself and to others, would find that offensive if they're not being responsible to themselves and others. I can understand that. Was I fear-mongering? I really don't think so. I don't think the message that there's consequences to your actions is really that offensive. It's common sense, really. I wonder sometimes if part of the problem was that I'm promoting a humanist philosophy and a humanist value system, and not everybody shares that value system. And so when they come up across it, they can react very negatively and say some very angry, angry things. Um, and maybe that's part of the problem, which is fine too, because you don't have to be a humanist. I personally don't care if you are or not. I think, personally, the humanist philosophy is a really great way to help you live your life successfully. I certainly haven't been introduced to a better methodology to approach life and its problems. But, people are free to choose whatever they want to do, and if it makes them happy, then more power to them. I just question people who react so negatively and angrily to a statement about consequences to your actions and consequences to your sex, as if any act of sex does not carry consequences, that there are some sex that doesn't have consequences, and they're acting negatively to that. I just, I think the problem is with them, that if you're that angry over a simple statement of consequences, then whatever it is you're doing is not helping you to be happy, because if you're going to respond to someone saying there's consequences with anger and venom, then you're clearly not happy, and I think these people should think about that. Peace.